Hi, I'm back again. Tony Sage. I'm a dev, and this is Sage Dev. I am doing a lot of these back to back because I'm just excited to have this thing live and in production. The last video, we did some meta. We set up our social media sharing and created a cool new image so that we can promote this in social media. Theoretically, we will have this promoted in Facebook and in YouTube and all over the place so that we can drive traffic to the site. While we're waiting on our single sign-on to pass, this is me looking at production right now, we can talk about search. So Google Search Console is a free tool provided by Google, of course, and this console, hold on, let me readjust here, is where you would set it up in Google so that you can, one, index it in Google search so that it starts coming up in results, and two, create your sitemap infrastructure and make sure that your pages are all being tracked to promote yourself in Google search results. There's a couple things that we need to do to make sure that it's actually working the way that we want and we're driving more results to the page. That's changing all the time. But the metrics that used to be the case were they want to make sure that you own and approve them to crawl your URL. We've already done that. And that is something that we can set. If you enter this and you have a URL, you can sign off and say, I am the URL owner. And when you go to inspect that URL, it'll say, ask for an index. And we already did that. So that's this request indexing. When we index, that means that Google will start driving traffic to the page. So make sure that you're at a point where you're satisfied with it before you move ahead. I went ahead and did it. We're holding on our AWS approval to send our two-factor authorization emails. But I figured exposure is exposure, and I haven't started promoting this yet, so I'm okay having it come up in search results. Things that you can do to drive that further include ADA compliance, page speed. You want to make sure that it is mobile friendly. You want to make sure that it is checking all of those boxes when it comes to ADA compliance and page load speed and things like that. Other things that we could do, and I'm noodling around this, if we have some expert credentials, meaning that we are a place that people can go to find content that's proving our expertise in the market, that would also help our search results. So to that end, thinking about adding some kind of functionality so that we can add content to the site. I'm working through what I want to do. We might go through a little bit of that today. But in addition to that, we have sitemaps. So right now, and this is very, very new for this site, but right now we don't have a sitemap. We're just letting Google crawl the site. Ideally, we would want to have a sitemap so that it tells Google what pages are included in our app. And we also might want to get away from, if you remember, I can look at it locally. I probably still have a local version. Let me see if it's, I've got the wrong link. If we go to our local, which is streetbytes.lambda.site, I swear that's what I entered, but whatever. Right now, when we go to a truck link, it just goes to trucks/4. And that is fine functionally, but not great if we want to drive traffic to truck pages on our site. So if we get endorsement, and future hope is that I can spread this around and get endorsement and get people to start adding their truck content to the page, one of the things we might like to do is, instead of calling this trucks4, call it trucks/burger block, for example. Or probably more realistically, we'd want it to be trucks4/burger block. That way we have a descriptive name, but we're also not limiting. So if we have 3 different burger blocks, which there won't be, but theoretically, if we had 3 different trucks that all had the same truck name, we would want them to have their own unique URL. So I'm thinking we update this to create unique URLs. We create some system to generate a sitemap, and we have a sitemap on the code base that can be referenced by Google. We're also tooling around with what we might do to add wiki pages or some additional content. So for starters, and I also thought about if I was a truck driver and I wanted to drive traffic, you probably want to have some social media presence on this page. So I'm thinking that we do add a couple features so that in the truck form, we can add a social media link, probably multiple social media links. And if it's LinkedIn, we want it to have a LinkedIn logo. If it's, whatever people use, Snapchat, Pinterest. I'm old, and my thoughts and opinions don't always apply to social media anymore. But if we have something like that established, that might be another reason for people to add their truck. Because even if they decide, oh, it's not worth me going and setting my pin in this thing that nobody's using, they still would drive traffic to their social media. So let's go to Claude and we'll start where we start and end where we end. I'm going to do a new session. I have basically no usage. I've got some Fable left. I'm going to use Fable because I can, and I only have Fable through until like the 7th. Today's the 5th, so let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to use my chat interface so that it's easier for you guys on the video, and because it's more organic for me to do this. Okay. I want to add a new feature to the trucks. On the truck entry form, I want to allow a user to enter social media accounts. When those are entered, I want them to display on the truck detail page. And if the truck is, say, Meta, then we want to display a Meta logo. If it's Snapchat, then we want to display a Snapchat logo. So we probably need some logic to introduce how those are added to the truck detail page. I'm surprised I got through that without any issues. Let's see what Fable thinks. Fable will just go, well, that's stupid. Why would... I'm just kidding. All right, so it's going to spin just a little bit. We'll let it spin. No need to watch it. Okay, that's spun. Let's see what we've got. Created 3 files. A social media database table where it's going to store social media links using the food truck ID as the primary link. Let me expand this. I'm working from such a small screen, but that is done. And then it edited the food truck to give it social media links and the editor to add the form field for social links. And then the social links was added as a prop to my form blade. It has, it's fine, ran 5 commands, so it ran it through all of my linters, and it's done. So social media field on there, follow truck section. Let's see what it looks like. All gates passed, everything came through. Reseeding Lando Artisan Migrate Fresh Seed will give all the trucks social media links. So let's do that and then we will test. Seeder ran. We should have all this content on our local. I'm in the prod. Yeah, that checks out. There we go. So now I'm on Burger Block. Burger Block. Did it not have? Let's try Pizza Peddler. I don't remember a Pizza Peddler. Ah, so it looks like it has a TikTok, an X, a Snapchat. Let's see where the logic is for this and what it's bringing in. Social. So it accounts for Facebook, Insta, TikTok, X, YouTube, Snapchat, and a website. And let's see what the actual form entry looks like before we give this one a pass. I just reseeded, so I'm gonna have to create a new account. Let me get that link. Where are you? Ooh. I could just do a Lando info, but I don't want to. So let's do that. There's my emails. Let's go from here, testuser@mail.com. And my mailbox now has an invite. There's my thing, verify email, and set a password. I'm not really caring, so I'm just going to use a randomly generated one. Okay, so now if I add a truck, I can still seat that. I can click now open, is set it to open, set my location, has set my location, menu items, social media. So I can just drop a link and I can add multiples. So just for fun, let's call it HTTPS instagram.com/food. And we add a link. And then we can add a photo. Do I still have it? I do. There's my dolphin. Upload photo. Save changes. Home. So that's active. So this is the truck that I just added. And it does have Instagram on it with a proper routing link. So that is great. And the fact that we give them a lot of different options there is a value add for sure. That will be leveraged pretty heavily. What else were we going to do? We wanted to set up our routing. So let's give it a new session with some context. Okay. I'm looking to have slightly more descriptive routing when it comes to the truck detail page. I understand the truck primary key should be in the route for the truck ID. But after that, I'd like to have a slash and then the name of the truck all in lowercase and hyphenated. Is that simple to do, or is that going to take some serious work? Send. While it's doing that, it's simple. Let me look at the current route. An hour-ish of mechanical work. I don't know what that means. But that's fine. It's going to work it. So it's going to find my routes and it's going to work them out. While it's doing that, what else do we need to do? We need to build a sitemap. We don't want to just have a sitemap in the code base. I want to, maybe once a day, create a new sitemap and have it on the actual AWS platform. So that's going to take a little bit more complexity than just adding it to the repo. But the idea is if a truck adds its information and the information all has correct context and is all looking good, then that truck information could be used to search the truck. The other piece of this, one line. Why'd you tell me it was going to take an hour? Why would you even say that? Anyway, let's see what it gives me. Test. Bulk line count is mechanical, 15 routes. Call for feature tests. The 301 redirect approach would start getting these redirects instead of 200s. I don't think I need a redirect. Let's see. I don't think I need a redirect. This site's still very new in production, so we don't need to worry about accommodating anything. I do want to go ahead with this work. I think it's a good idea long term. and that's because I have it in auto. It planned it for me. Everywhere the build a truck link passes the model route to truck show truck. Sounds good. I will implement it right now. Required slug segment derived from truck name. No redirects. Look at the route closure in the model. Okay, it's going to spin. So we will allow it to spin. Okay, it has done a couple things for us. First thing it did was set an attribute string. And when someone has a slug, which is a method, a protected method, then we get the string, this name, or food truck if it's not available. I think this is a little redundant, but that's fine. I'd rather have all our bases covered. Did the same thing to our attributes. I don't know why this one doesn't have an empty string as a thing. It doesn't matter. We'll just test it out and see how it works. Now our routing is going to be trucks, truck, slug. So this is the truck ID, and the slug is what we just had up there. So when it builds those truck routes dynamically, it will do that, and then it will abort on a 404, and it added it to our tests. So an hour of work, that I could have done that in a really limited amount of time. I don't know why it gave me that. It's updating my Claude.md now. I guess that's fine. It can do that. Other thoughts that I had, we want to create a dynamic sitemap. We're going to ask it for that. Before we do that, because that's the more complicated piece, I'd like to add a directions route. So underneath each page, we have our free map. Oh, forgive my... Now it's a 404 because it doesn't have routing. But now we have trucks 11 and then my food truck, which is the name of my food truck. And that'll make our site easier to deal with and more searchable. When we do this, we're going to want to add, using this OpenStreetMap is great. It's free. We can hit it as many times as we want without having a Google API key that's getting us billed regularly, but it doesn't have directions. So I think under the map, I'm going to add another get me directions link, and that link should link out to Google Maps and in a state where they're already looking for directions from their current location to the truck. So let's see what Claude can do with that. I'd like to add a new feature to the truck detail page. Underneath the map, I'd like to add a directions button, CTA, some kind of Google link that we could pass that would get somebody to the truck from their current GPS location. I think we have all the context we need to do that. I'd like to have the CTA be nice and stylized and very functional. That last bit was just me riffing, but we'll see what it does. Okay, let's see what we got. Show blade. Google Maps direction deep link. Omitting the origin makes a Google Map route from the visitor's current location. So if somebody doesn't have themselves logged in or has not identified their location, it will do that for them on Google Maps. So that's that amp. Oh, that's not true. Amp would be for ampersand. I guess we're not passing from the current location. It says Google's going to do that for us. Omitting the origin makes Google route from the visitor's current location. and open the native app on mobile. Yeah, that's fine. But the more important part is the truck lat long. It's going to be mustard, which is fine. And it's going to say get directions to this truck. Opens Google Maps. This is required for ADA compliance. We have to identify that something's going to an outside reference. So I'm fine having it there. I'm totally fine with that. And since we don't have to pay, that's even better. It's setting up some CSS for us. Features done and verified. Changes to, yeah, we've already read through the changes, so that's fine. All 13 tests show a pass. One thought, if you want to go further, the same URL pattern would work as a secondary action on discovery cards. I don't want it to be on the cards. I like having the cards be neat and small. I don't want to bypass this click through. Even though more clicks means less actions, I don't really want to bypass that. But now if I go to Pizza Peddler and I click through, it's going directly to a GPS location. So because of that, it doesn't matter where they say they are, that's where it will take them, which is the idea, right? This isn't a business. This is an actual GPS location. So I like that. I don't love that it gets to be so large, but I'm fine with it. It's just part of mobile first development, and I don't really want to have a bunch of white space either. So that's fine. Now that we've introduced those features, we're going to get into the tricky bit. So let's set those, commit them, git commits, new features for truck detail. And everything's going to check out fine. Okay. Then we'll go back here and we'll add our last ask. That's a more complicated one. So I want to create a sitemap that we can leverage for Google search. That sitemap needs to be something that's generated in production. When a new truck is created, I want to add that truck URL to the sitemap. We may have future pages that we need to create for some kind of news feed. I'd like those to be added as well. That's more of a future state. But I wanted to include it in the logic so that it's pretty straightforward. That sitemap needs to be something that's generated in production. We'll see what it says. I don't know how this is going to work per se, because the sitemap, I probably don't want it in the repo if it's in production, because I don't want the sitemap to get overwritten. It's not what I'm looking for. Let's see what it says. We'll just let it spin. Okay, let's see. Sitemap for search engines lists the crawlable pages, home about, published trucks, detail pages, the truck's last update so crawlers can fetch renamed or edited trucks. Generated per request, a truck published moments ago is already in the next fetch with no file to rebuild the cache to bust. The query is 3 columns over in the published trucks, and crawlers fetch sitemaps regularly. Future public surfaces joined by concatenating their own URL entries. So, food truck, this is my route for the sitemap. So this is where it's going to live on the route. When food truck is published, then it collects home about and the food trucks and builds them. But when? I don't have a robots.txt, do I? Sitemap. Robots.txt is a way for us to block pages from search. Those should be happening with a no index instead. So I don't see that as an issue. And the only pages that we would block would be the user profile and the login flow. It did have, so profile, favorites, auth, API, search, and style guide. That is good. We don't want any of those. XML namespace, tripping simple XML in the tests. Serves valid XML with the static pages. That seems like the more important test. Fixing the test. So children live in the sitemap named space, and looks like it's updated that a little bit. It's collecting URLs. Okay. So instead of doing a collect, it's going to do a each. So this collect URLs is not working. It is not passing the linter. So it's going to go through a for each loop instead. And that's just my pinned test. It's updating it to pass properly. Okay, and I got this. I don't know what this is. Fix hard-coded public disk in truck show map URL. The truck detail page builds its map image URL from a hard-coded local disk, which would break in production where images live on S3. With that hasn't been testable yet because we have not had a page with details on it. So let's go ahead and fix that too. That sounds like a necessary fix. Yeah, that's this. So let's fix that. It is going to run. So let it run. So this made a one-line change, which is what it already did for the truck image. In the truck image, it should already match this. This file system's public disk is now actually using an AWS service called Fargate. So Fargate in the S3 bucket will store these images, and then they will get called the same way that the actual truck detail page images get called. It is forgetting to read before it writes. That's what that's saying. So there you go. And we're going to let it spin. So it looks like it found this one issue when it was digging through the files and reading them. So thank you. So I didn't have to fix it later. It did a search for public, the storage disk public, and it's not seeing it anywhere else in the code base. One environment note, this work tree was fresh checkout, so I copied vendor env. All three are ignored, so nothing will show up in the commit. Fine. Why would you not just do this in my commit? That's fine. I'll have it create a PR. This happens more and more with AI. It likes to be self-actualized. I like to control my repo a little more granularly than that, but it took this work and said this is outside of the scope of what you're working on right now, so I'm going to create a new PR specifically for this, which is fine. While it's running that, let's have it run something else. I want to update docs. How's my budget? Fable is run out. So we should see these start to switch to Opus, which is fine. I don't care. Opus works just fine. So it did a checkout, it committed a commit, and it ran all of the linters because of the commit. It is pushing it out, so we should have a commit PR set for that when we go out to GitHub. Heuristic Chaplugin. Don't merge it. Okay, that's fine. It's doing that. While it does that, I am running my docs, so it's going to do that, and we should be in a good state. I'll come back once we have this deployed and show you how to set that up in the Search console. Okay, so we've deployed our build to production. If you haven't seen a sitemap before, it's all in XML. Right now there's not much there. That's because we don't have any trucks. But with the script that we built, I had to do a little bit of tweaking here. But with the script we built, it builds a list of URLs and renders them out as they're populated in the site. So when this is done and dev complete, anything else that gets added to the site will automatically be added to the sitemap, which is what we want. So that way any content authored, any new trucks, if we wanted to add some additional content for newsreels, anything like that should end up in the XML. We'll need to make sure that's the case and troubleshoot it just in case. Now that we have an XML, we can go to the Google Search Console. I don't need to start now. I already have it. That's fine. There we go. And under Sitemaps, I can just add a URL. So when this works, it's going to dig through. Why couldn't you fetch it? Oh, it did fetch it. Okay. I don't know why it says it couldn't fetch it, but there we go. So it did fetch it. It's found 2 pages, no videos, because that's all that we have in our sitemap at the moment. As we continue to populate it, it'll add more pages, and when those pages are added, they will index. So eventually, we'll have a rolling list of pages. As this becomes more and more extended, they will be set there as well. Unfortunately, still I don't have any trucks. My login is still not authenticated by AWS. When that's done, we should be able to check out some of these other features that we've added. Okay, that is it for me today. I'm looking for some additional features that I can add, but we're in a pretty solid state right now. Moving forward, we'll probably do some work on an ARC42 and clean up our documents, maybe do some UML diagrams just to flesh it out really nice. But for now, that's it. I'm Tony. Thank you for watching. If you want to visit the site, it's live. If you want to track the repo, we're doing constant change there. Follow me on YouTube, subscribe, and thank you so much for your time. Take care.